Good afternoon, everyone. Good early evening. It is Tuesday, February the 23rd, 2021. It is currently 5 p.m. Central Time, and I am back here at Victory Baptist Church. I decided to drive back this evening where I can do hopefully maybe a couple of hours of live broadcasting. But before we do any other live broadcasting tonight, before we do any other studies or cover anything else, I wanted to take just a few minutes to give everyone an update. Early this morning, I drove here to the church and asked everyone to pray, an emergency prayer request. Many of you emailed me and told me that you were praying. I greatly appreciate that. I'm sure some of you were praying and didn't email me, and thank you for that as well. No matter whether you told me or didn't tell me, it's irrelevant. If you prayed and you approached the throne of grace and you brought my request before God, I greatly appreciate it, and thank you so very much. Whether you agree with me on things or disagree with me, I appreciate your prayers. But here is the update. I'm going to read this directly. I'm going to read this directly because I want to make sure that I'm accurate here and that I give this information correctly. This is from my wife. And this is the update. For those who just may be tuning in, you don't know what was going on. My wife had a surgical procedure. She had her appendix removed, and they took a biopsy of her liver. And we got some pretty bad news, and there was great concern. So I asked for prayer requests, and now here is the update in regards to that emergency prayer request. This is from my wife. Okay, I just finished. Early stage of cirrhosis. He didn't put a number to it. He did put a stage to the scarring. He said that he thinks it's still F2, but could be F3, which would be bad. And if you know anything about the scale, you know that's not good. He said that he thinks it isn't over yet. In other words, you're not going to die immediately. But the diabetes is what he thinks is making it go downhill so fast. He said to consider myself on the edge of a cliff about to fall. But he's hopeful that I can pull myself back from the ledge. To do that, I have to control my diabetes, stop all fast foods and meats. All right. He said we will just have to wait and see how quickly it progresses, but that he is hopeful. He said if it goes downhill much more at all, there will be nothing that can be done at that point. So that, and I just want to I'm just going to leave it there. I'm not going to offer a lot of other thoughts there other than just that's the information from my wife. I wanted to just give it as accurate as I could. If you were to ask me how I classify this, it's not horrible, tragic news. It's definitely not good or great news. It's kind of right there in between, but there is at least a chance to fight. So what I need you to do now is just pray for my wife. It's going to require some major changes. It's going to require some things. Just pray for strength, pray for encouragement, and obviously I will do. I'm going to do everything I can to assist and help in this situation. So if you've been praying, thank you. I greatly appreciate it. But that is the latest information. And so right now we don't really know, the stage. It's kind of that I would have preferred the doctor to say we definitely know it's in stage 2. Just even that there's even a concern that we could be in stage 3 is great. And if it's in stage 4, then, if you know anything about cirrhosis, then you know that would be really, really bad. So that's the situation. Whenever it's always important, whoever you listen to, it doesn't matter what podcast you listen to or if someone on the radio, it doesn't matter if you listen to someone preaching. Always know there's real people there with things going on in their life. And I always have to remember whoever is listening to me, there's real things going on in your life. And we have our struggles, we have our ups, we have our downs, we have our difficulties. There's always more than what you hear. There's always more than what you see. And that's true of every person you meet. You walk into a restaurant, you walk into a store, and there's someone there, and maybe they're doing something that irritates you. Just remember, there's a human being there with things going on that you don't know and you don't see. We so quickly just see the surface of people. We just see the surface of people. and they can irritate and bother us. I'll give you an example of this. Right, I was ready to come out to the church. I needed to hurry up and get out here, get some things done, so that I can get back home. Tomorrow, my daughter's coming in, so there's a lot of things going on at home, and I'm like, okay, I need to get to the church. And right when I was packing everything up, there was a knock on the door, and I'm like, who's knock? They knocked on the door, like boom, 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 like really hard, like boom, 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 boom. And then they started ringing the doorbell. I'm like, what is going on? Dog's going crazy. Everything's going crazy. I finally get the door open. I get out, and it's someone selling something. And I'm looking at my front. I'm kind of looking at them and looking at my door, which has a big no soliciting sign. And I'm like, okay. So I let them go through their hose spill, right? They're selling this cleaning fluid, and she's spraying it on the car. She's spraying it on my shoe. She's going through all, this stuff cleans everything. And it was like $130 for the kid, $40 per bottle, whatever. And it's supposed to be, clean everything. And I'm just kind of like, okay. I'm trying to be nice. I'm trying to be respectful. Okay. And finally, I'm like, thank you very much, but I'm not interested. And immediately the person started getting extremely rude, right? Wait, because supposedly they're part of some youth program, and that the money helps support these youth who are trying to work themselves out of difficult situations. And she's a single mom. And I'm like, okay, and so I was like, I'm not interested. And she's like, basically, she just straight up said, so you don't care about a young person trying to work themselves to a better life? I'm not near as successful as you, and you won't help us out. You don't care about us. You don't care about young people. You don't care about people in a bad situation. And trust me, I started feeling very uncomfortable, being very pressured, and basically trying to be made to feel guilty unless I hand her $130 for some bottles of cleaning fluid. And it was very irritating. And I got really mad. And on the way, but as I, was driving here, I had some time to think about it. I was like, I don't know what's going on in that person's life. What's on the surface right there was almost trying to, harass me into buying what they want. And I'm like, that's not the way. Look, if you're trying to work, then just be very respectful, do the best sales pitch that you can, and leave me with a positive, experience. But that's me getting into a business philosophy. But the bottom line, that was a human being with things going on in life. I don't know what's going on in that person's life. I don't know what's happening. I don't know anything. But that's just the case. When we never know what's going on in anyone's life. There's always things going on in people's lives, and we forget it so quickly. We hear what they say, we see what they do, we don't like and we just immediately respond without ever thinking there's probably more to that story than we think. And so just, I'm not even saying this for my benefit, just for anyone you listen to. You don't know what's going on in their family. You don't know what's going on in their life. And so sometimes I pull the curtain back and let you know. And so that's what's currently happening with my wife. We've got, it's going to be a difficult path to moving forward, but at least there's some hope. So pray that we can make it through this, and obviously extend life as long as possibly. But ultimately, my wife knows this. I know this. God is the one ultimately sovereign. God is ultimately the one in control. But we will obviously trust in that. And I just want to just end this with the same scriptures that I started this morning with. All right. I want to just end this quick little update with 3 scriptures that I started this morning with. And if you don't remember them, the first one is Hebrews chapter 4. Hebrews chapter 4. Hebrews chapter 4, verse 16. Hebrews chapter 4, verse 16. Let us therefore come boldly unto the throne of grace, that we may obtain mercy and find grace to help in time of need. Thank you for your prayer. Make sure you, obviously, we need to constantly be going through the throne of grace to pray, not just for our needs, but for the other people's needs, right? So, always remember, we need to spend a lot of time before that throne of grace, because there's people around you who have needs that you don't even know about. They have needs that they're never going to share with anyone. So just constantly be praying. You can always pray for a person, right? You may not always be able to talk to them about God. You may not always be able to talk to them about Scripture, but you can always pray. And there is also true that sometimes people who won't talk to you about God, who don't want to talk to you about the Bible, if you'll just let it be known that, hey, anytime you need prayer, you just let me know and I will pray for you. And if just, every time you just meet, hey, is there anything I can pray for you today? Is there anything I can pray for you today? Just tell me that, and I will pray. Now, don't say it if you're not going to pray. But I think that's a form of ministry that you can have with anyone. You're like, I'm not very good at apologetics. I'm not good at talking theology. You can look at a person and say, hey, is there anything I can pray for you today? I will definitely pray for you today. I'm going to spend time praying. You can say that to people on social media. Instead of arguing about politics, say, how can I pray for you today? Right? And then, so that's Hebrews 4:16. And then James 4:13. James 4:13 reads this way. James 4:13. James 4:13, go to now, ye that say, today or tomorrow we'll go into such a city and continue there a year and buy and sell and get gain. Whereas you know not what shall be on the morrow. For what is your life? It is even a vapor that appeareth for a little time and then vanisheth away. For that ye ought to say, if the Lord will, we shall live and do this or that. We just have to always remember, look, no one has tomorrow guaranteed. Now, I said it this morning, I'll say it again. I am not guaranteed to make it out of this church building and back home. I've got, however long the drive is back and forth to the church, 20-minute drive, 15-minute drive. There's no guarantee. There's no guarantee. The other day, I had to go get my hair cut, and they're doing some road construction up on the entrance ramp that leads to the freeway. And there's a road that comes up to the entrance ramp, and then I'm on the entrance ramp. And they put a stop sign there on the entrance ramp, and I wasn't paying any attention. I was listening to something, and I all of a sudden I saw the stop sign and saw that there was a car coming up, basically getting on the entrance ramp, and I slammed on my brakes, and I slid right through the stop sign. Almost had a horrible accident. My life could have ended right there. We don't have any guarantee. All we can do is make the most of what we have right now. So we have to realize our life is but a vapor, and we always have to just realize whatever the Lord wills, and that's what we have to ultimately trust in. And then just one passage that's so powerful, especially in the context of the book. We know the book of Job. Every horrible thing that could possibly happen to a human being falls upon him, and he makes this powerful statement. Job chapter 1, verse 20. Then Job arose and rent his mantle, shaved his head, fell down upon the ground and worshiped. No matter how bad the situation is, we should always be willing to fall on the ground and worship. No matter if it's good news, bad news, horrible news, tragic news, we fall on our ground and worship. Now, I know sometimes we don't want to worship God when God doesn't do what we want. I know sometimes we don't want to worship God when we don't get the news that we want. I know sometimes we don't want to worship God. Instead of taking away the disease, we have to suffer through the disease. I know sometimes we don't want to worship God when the situation doesn't get better, but we worship God not because of what he gives us, but because of who he is. And we always need to remember that. He deserves, and I know this is hard theological concept for some people to grasp. God deserves your worship even if he didn't save you, because he is the creator. He is God. He is to be glorified. He is to be served, not just because, you've done wonderful things for me, so now you did to be worshiped. If God is God and he is the creator, then he deserves to be worshiped no matter what he does for us. Sometimes we think we have this, like we've made a deal. I'll worship you. You give me things, you bless me, and then I'll worship you. But that's not the way it works. Job 121 says, and this is what Job said in his worship service, naked came I out of my mother's womb, and naked shall I return thither. The Lord gave, and the Lord hath taken away. Blessed be the name of the Lord. Whether God is giving something to you or taking something from you, blessed be the name of the Lord. Whether God gives you good news, or whether you get good news or bad news, blessed be the name of the Lord. Whether it's a great season in your life or a tragic season in your life, blessed be the name of the Lord. That's hard to sometimes live. It's easy to repeat, but it's hard to sometimes state. So there is the latest. Thank you for praying. I appreciate it. And I just wanted to give everyone that quick update, but I didn't just want to give you an update. Obviously, I want to give you a little kind of devotional thought there as well. All right. I'll be back on the air here in just a few minutes. Everyone have a great day. God bless.